So Anthony Smith's like, hold my Bud Light. He says, I'm going to act up and then I'm going to blame it all on my dad too. Who knows? Maybe I'll blame it on Poirier's dad. I have a theory about what's really going on with the Anthony Smith situation. And I've tried to hop around a little bit and kind of dip my chanclas in the pool of what everybody's regurgitating right now and what the general consensus is. And it's a little bit disappointing. And I guess it's just reminding us that people gravitate toward the absolute drama, absolute worst case scenario. And I'm going to get to what I think is actually happening here. But let me give you a little bit of context first. I was live streaming the other day, which I do pretty much every single day. So don't forget to show up on the channel every single day because I'm so prolific. It's crazy. But I was streaming and somebody came in the chat and said, oh, snap, Anthony Smith has been arrested. And I was like, oh, no. And at first, there was a good number of us that was like, oh, my gosh, hopefully it's a misunderstanding. Hopefully, maybe it's Bogdan. Maybe it's Bogdan Guskov. Maybe there was an international mix-up. Maybe it was Bogdan. And I'm not trying to get Bogdan in trouble. I'm just saying, for someone like Bogdan Guskov, the dude's from Uzbekistan, where that dude comes from domestic, can I say that term on YouTube, or am I going to get, I know everybody's talking about it right now. You can say domestic violence, right? I see channels actually doing domestic violence. Some of those vlog channels, some of those popular channels, the family channels, I see some of them actually doing domestic violence in the video, and they have a sponsor. It's crazy the things some channels get away with as long as they're getting enough views. So I feel like I should be able to at least say it. If I can't say it, YouTube, if you flag me for saying it, then the blood is on your hands. If you flag me for saying it, I'm going to engage in domestic violence in my own household. I'm going to record it and I'm going to upload it. And I'm going to say it's sponsored by the fact that you're biased against my channel just for talking about it. The blood is on your hands. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't come to that. But anyway, we were thinking hopefully it was Bogdan Guskov, because where he comes from in Uzbekistan, domestic violence is kind of like a national pastime. It's kind of like something culturally celebrated. For someone like in Uzbekistan, someone like Bogdan Guskov, him doing domestic violence on his lady is like if I roll my eyes at my lady when she says something annoying. It's like, the currency doesn't quite translate. So that's what we're thinking. It's not like I'm trying to get Bogdan locked up or anything like that, but that was where our beanies went to initially. And then I looked it up and it was like, oh, snap. This dude, and look, let me look it up real quick. I wish I had already had it pulled up for you. But it's just like, I feel like everybody's already so familiar with what's happening that I didn't need to do this. Let me see. Let me look up what the charges are. Okay, well, as I was looking up the charges right now, something took place that greatly altered where I was going with this entire video. I read something that completely altered everything that I was, kind of hoping for in efforts to hope for the best. And what I thought was a very strong possibility was some of the things that we were having presented to us as evidence. So this is going to be a little piecemeal here and there now. So I'm going to have to, in real time, figure out how to deliver this to you. So here's what I was going to say. We have a little bit of a twist here, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a exciting story developing here. So what I was going to say was Anthony Smith was initially charged with 3 felonies. In case you don't know, those are the bad ones. Attempted first degree, and by the way, when anything's first degree, that's really bad too when it comes to charges. So lots of bad on bad here. Just bad stacked on bad. First degree domestic violence, punishable by 1 to 50 years in prison. Terroristic threats, punishable by 0 to 3 years behind bars. And first degree false imprisonment. I don't know why it's not giving. I think that's also 0 to 3 years. I'm not sure, which is crazy that it's only 0 to 3 years for false imprisonment. But anyway, those were the charges at the time, and it looked bad. We found out it was actually Anthony Smith and that's what he's being charged of. And people start, I mean, I've seen YouTubers doing it. They start pulling up, unearthing all these old clips of different things that he was saying, different things he was doing. I've seen a couple different clips today and yesterday about him. There was one where he was talking with Ariel Helwani, and he's like, yeah, I'm a psychopath. I can't help it. I don't know how I'm a psychopath or how to fix it, but I'm crazy. He was talking to someone else. I got some screws loose. I don't know how to screw them back in. You guys have probably seen these making the rounds. And you know what? The thing that's not fair, everybody talks like that, man. Sean Strickland, oh man, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be dead, or I'd be in prison. You know what? I'd be dead in prison. You know, he'd be the whole thing. Like, everybody says that all the time, and then whenever something happens, they bring it up. I mean, you can find me saying some crazy stuff too. So people start seeing these clips. They start thinking about all this stuff. They start thinking about him curling up in the fetal position in the cage on the canvas, acting all crazy. They start thinking about him telling what's that dude's name? The dude that has a half brother that's even more talented than him now, and he's like taking over, Johnny Walker. So he was telling Johnny Walker, like, you're attacking my family, all this crazy stuff. Johnny Walker's like, what the? And it's just like, what's up with this dude? And then he's the dude, some people forget he's the dude who was getting his teeth knocked out in the cage. And he's like, hey, Jason Herzog, can you hold on to these real quick? I got a fight to finish or get finished in. And he's like, hey, can you hold this? Can you hold these for me real quick? He's that guy. And everyone's starting to put this together like, oh, yeah, makes sense. And then all the craziness that's going on right now, like in this community with Dustin Poirier. And that, you know, there was kind of the joke that I made initially when they told me on the stream. I said, oh, snap. Anthony Smith saw what Poirier did, and he says, hold my Bud Light. Oh, yeah? Hold my Bud Light. And then you see Poirier, he's making waves now. He's popping more than ever. He's popping more than when he won the interim. He's making the rounds. He's coming on Diary of a CEO, getting more views than he's ever gotten anywhere else before. Has full support of the fans. Everyone backing him. Oh, we've been there, man. We know what it's like. Oh, man, you've been taking a beating to the dome. You got these demons. Your dad's home. Oh, man, we're with you. Oh, boo, Bud Light. Boo. I say boo, Bud Light, but for different reasons. But oh, boo, Bud Light. And then they're making memes about him. They're making remixes. Poirier's more famous than ever, and he still has the job on Deep Waters. So Anthony Smith's like, hold my Bud Light. He says, I'm going to act up, and then I'm going to blame it all on my dad, too. Who knows? Maybe I'll blame it on Poirier's dad. And he thinks, okay, he gets locked up. He's going to use his phone call. He's going to call Dana White. He's going to be like, hey, Dana, I saw that Poirier still has a job. Don't you be acting different with me. Come on. I didn't even use the N-word, Dana. I didn't even use the N-word. I was saying that, and then I thought, wait a minute. Because apparently there was a recording that came out. By the time I got to it, it was privatized. It was the dispatch call. I didn't get to hear the recording. But then I was thinking, dang it, what if he did use the N-word? What if he did say it's going to be bad? And he said that to his lady. That would be crazy. But then I remembered, and I did a little bit of digging. I don't know if everybody knows this, because I didn't know this. I remember a long time ago, it wasn't a joke. It was more like an observation. I remember I said something weird during one of the fight companions. And it just kind of came out, and I was like, should I have said that? But it was just an honest inquiry or a statement because of things that I had just taken note of. And I remember one time I said, I know it's weird. I know it's random. I get it. But I said something like, I was just looking at him, and I was just kind of lost in his visual. And I said, Anthony Smith is either the blackest looking white dude I've ever seen or the whitest looking black dude I've ever seen. Like, I was just bamboozled by the dude's appearance. I couldn't make, aside from like the, you know, being Toxic Avenger adjacent, there was something in the, like, is he like an albino black dude? Like, what is he? I couldn't figure it out. And then it was like, oh, he's mixed. That makes sense. And when I said, oh, dang, that's going to be bad if he told his lady it's going to be bad. And then I was like, oh, snap, I shouldn't have said that. I think his lady's black. So it's going to sound like I was saying just because and I thought she was black. See, I was over here wondering what's going on with him. The whole time he's black, I thought she was black. She's not black because I know he has a black daughter. And I'm not trying to bring his kids into this, but they have to come into this in a little bit. I'll let you know. But I know one of his daughters because there's photos and stuff. The daughter's black. So I was like, oh, the wife must be black. But he's half black. So, I mean, technically, we have the situation where Poirier is going to be bad. And he says the word. And people were kind of getting mad at him because he's not black. And they thought the dude he said that to was black. I think it turned out he wasn't black. And now if Smith said it, it's like, well, he's black. I don't know. That has nothing to do with anything. I was just highlighting a moment that took place when I was talking about it the other day. That's not important to the situation. And a lot of people kept talking about the trauma that he's taken, the potential CTE, all the damage and the beating that he's taken to the head over the years. And I was thinking, you know what, even more than that trauma, I think we have to consider his time. I mean, the dude did a podcast with Michael Bisping. Nobody's considering that, the trauma that would entail. No one's considering the time. The dude ran for Michael Bisping. He used to have a podcast with Michael Bisping. Bisping's out there slumming it with Paul Felder now. Now, I'm not saying that Anthony Smith is the best podcast co-host of all. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying people don't consider that they were podcast co-hosts, and then Anthony Smith just ghosted him. He's like, I'm out, dude. I can't have nothing to do with it. I can't. It's the same thing that, what's his name? The comedian. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name right now. And you know what's embarrassing? I know that you guys are thinking of it right now as I can't remember. His name is Louis J. Gomez. Louis J. Gomez also had a podcast with Bisping. He's like, I can't handle this dude. This dude's a diva. I'm out. He tries to be as polite as he can about it, but he's alluded very much to the fact that that guy was just a lot. And then Anthony Smith tried it. He said, chale. I'm surprised Louis J. Gomez and Anthony Smith didn't start a podcast together. That would have been hilarious. But Michael Bisping was kind of telling the story of how the dude kind of disappeared and how he was dealing with a lot because of the passing of his coach and stuff like that, and kind of made it seem like the dude was kind of out of sorts and kind of in a bad place and kind of not feeling healthy and firing on all cylinders. Kind of just made it look like he couldn't deal with himself and handle a partnership and being in a mature, successful kind of dynamic and consistent routine at that time. Like, he kind of just dropped off the face of the planet. And he apologized for that. But the reason I bring up that story is because aside from the trauma of having to deal with someone like Michael Bisping on a weekly basis, he had a coach that actually passed away. His coach and friend that was coaching him since he was 17 years old. And you guys know this. You guys remember that very emotional, heartfelt speech that he gave at the end of his last fight, where he was crying and saying that he doesn't think he could do it anymore. He thinks that's the last one. He doesn't think he could do it anymore without him. He told, I think, Ariel, somebody, that he was literally crying every day on the way to fight camp. And it was just a lot for him, and it was a very emotional experience. He was just a wreck. His birthday just passed. His birthday was on July 26th. Maybe he's just getting to this place in life where some of the people closest to him that did this hard road with him, he's losing them. He's getting to an age where maybe he thought that he would have. I mean, I had one of those the other day. I had a little bit of a moment the other day where I was kind of thinking about where I was in life, and I, once upon a time thought I was gonna be in a much different place, and now that I'm thinking about that again, and then I'm considering how I threaten domestic violence uploads on YouTube, I'm realizing now that this may be used against me in the future. Anyway, let's just hope for the best. When I first heard about it kind of early on in the stream, I immediately, because somebody was bringing up in the chat, you're attacking my family. And I just spat out like, he was probably saying, I'm attacking my family. And I thought it was funny in the moment. But then I saw a bunch of other people saying it, and I was like, ugh, it's too mainstream now. I'm off. I saw that it kind of took over. So, as far as I'm confirmed, in my beanie, I was the first one that said it. Because I said it organically, and I didn't see it anywhere else. And then everyone else started saying it. I was like, all right, that's old already. But anyway, you know what I did do? And I'm going to put up a photo here. And if you're driving, if somebody's doing something, you're pocket listening, don't worry, I'm going to explain it to you. I made a video maybe a week or two ago. I'm not positive. And I basically turned the IGGBMN, the whole thing, it's going to be bad. I turned it into, it's going to be bad, my Nebraskan. And it was kind of a joke that I was making during the Dricus Du Plessis Kamaru Usman situation. It's going to be bad, my Nebraskan. And I did not know at the time that I was speaking prophetically. For those of you that don't know, this very similar, not entirely similar, but similar enough situation now with Anthony Smith being in the public eye for a very negative circumstance is from Nebraska. This took place in Nebraska. How could I have known at the time that I was speaking about the wrong Nebraskan? Now, as we now know, it was also bad. It was also going to be bad for Kamaru Usman, another famous Nebraskan. Ironically, I said I did coin the, it's going to be good. I said in a live stream, you know what Poirier should do? What would be such a gigantic miss if he doesn't spin this around and turn it into some kind of positive branding. And if he doesn't coin, it's going to be good. And then like the next day, you could watch my stream and then look at his Instagram post. It was the next day. At first, I thought it was kind of the next day. Maybe it was like 48 hours. No, I remember now. It was the next day. It was the next day. And Poirier, if you're watching, I'm feeling litigious. I'm more than happy to settle out of court. Okay? Call me. Anyway, I prophesied that it was going to be bad, my Nebraskan. And I'm learning, and I'm going to put up the thumbnail right here to show you. But I'm learning that I need to be careful about what I say. Because, look, here's what I want to get to. I've been seeing a lot of feedback on this situation. I've been seeing it in chat sections, in comments, from other YouTubers. And I'm going to be honest with you. Personally, I don't think it's that hilarious. I think it's sad. I think we see situations like, the classic go-to, Chris Benoit. I think it was Junior Seau. I apologize. I don't remember how to pronounce his name correctly. It was a NFL player. Junior Seau. He is somebody that decided to not continue with his own life. And if I remember correctly, apparently there was a diagnosis after the fact that showed severe chronic traumatic, CTE, very bad CTE to this dude. Same thing with the dude that looks like Brendan Schaub, that basically ended up like killing people because he didn't want them to find out that he was gay. What's his name? Aaron Hernandez. And I mean, who knows? I think with Poirier, it's kind of like an alcohol thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I like to make jokes when there's jokes to be made. But there's also real life. These people are real. His kids are real. His wife is real. He's real. I'm trying to say Israel a lot in this video so I'll get more views. His fans is real. The situation is real. Anyway, everybody saw and became aware of the situation and just started making memes and jokes. And like I said, I did initially as well. But then after that moment of, I don't know, adrenaline, after just that initial, being introduced to the situation, kind of settles in and you realize these are real human beings. And, these are people that entertain people like us for a living. And then when we kind of just forget about them and they just phase out, maybe they have a couple RAF or bare knuckle matches and then they phase out, we forget about them. But they go on living. They go on living with the repercussions of the sacrifices that they made. And as we encourage them to do it, and then we forget about them immediately after. And then we turn on them and make fun of them if and when they lose and if they win out in a embarrassing fashion. And I saw a lot of the jokes being made and a lot of... I saw two things. I saw a lot of jokes being made from chatters and commenters all across YouTube, all different channels. All the memes, all the hashtags, just funny. And from the YouTubers, I saw, oh, what a bad guy. He's a monster. What a bad man, bad boy, bad guy. He belongs this and that. He deserves this bad guy. And then I saw some videos and images that were supposedly from his daughter. And the daughter was saying, everybody stop it. He wasn't hurting my mother. He was trying to hurt himself. He's been trying to hurt himself. He's been dealing with mental issues. We're trying to get him help. The UFC's aware. The UFC's been willing to help him. We're going to get him out and he's going to get bailed out and we're going to get him the help he needs. Please, everybody stop. He was being a danger to himself, not to anybody else. Now, I don't know if that was real. Let me fix that. I don't know if it is real. I don't know if that was actually... I don't know. I'm just saying what has been put out there quite a bit and what seems to have enough legitimacy for enough people that aren't just random Redditors sharing it. And that made me remember something. A lifetime ago, in an alternate universe, I was in a different situation where I had to learn about something. And I couldn't quite remember what it was called. So I did a little bit of research before making this video. And I think there's different case law in different situations that could kind of, combined kind of make sense of what I'm trying to express here. But I remember a long time ago, I heard about something, and in my research right now, I think this is what it was. I think it's the Thurman Law. Commonly refers to the historic Thurman versus City of Torrington civil rights lawsuit. What it is, you could Google it on your own. There's some other cases as well of different people who were in very similar situations. And what it is, sometimes something so terrible happens that the people in that area are like, this could never happen again. We need to literally put this on like this. This needs to be like a matter of case law. This was so unfortunate. We need to alter the laws here. Hashtag Gable Stevenson. So what happened too much in years gone by is there would be a domestic dispute, domestic violence, whatever. There'd be a phone call made and the cops would come out. And if you just so happen to have a dude answer the door that was, very like Al Bundy, just very charismatic and mild-mannered temperament and knows how to be charming and knows how to speak to people and talk his way. What? No, you don't understand. You know how it is, man. You know how they get like this. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, dude, look at this. You see this? She scratched me, man. I just had to get, I didn't want the kids to see it. They go into this whole thing. And so what was happening was ladies would call, and the cops, for one reason or another, maybe the guy talked to them, maybe the lady talked to them, but she was terrified by maybe the guy threatened her. Maybe he said, I'm going to get the kids if you say something. I don't know. But for one reason or another, time after time, the cops would leave. And too many times, the women would get severely beaten after. In the case of Thurman Law, the lady was actually, I don't have it on this page here, but again, you could look it up. It's definitely out there. She was pretty severely beaten, and her neck was broken, and she was paralyzed. She sued him for 2.something million. This happened again with another lady who's actually murdered, another lady whose children were actually murdered. What happens was they'll call, and for whatever reason, the cops at the time would deem it like, this is a family matter. You guys figure this stuff happens. I'm married. I know how it goes. My lady just punched me the other day. I didn't hit her back. I pinched her. I didn't hit her. I pinched her. There's no lawn pinching. Like, people know how it is. People that are married, especially, they're okay. I didn't mean nothing by that, but you know what I mean. So it happened too often where they would leave and someone would end up dead or paralyzed. So in this case here, the lady ended up almost being beaten to death, neck broken, paralyzed, and they changed the law so that some of you might have heard of this before. So basically when someone comes out, when the law enforcement comes out on a domestic disturbance call, basically you got to find what they call like the something aggressor, proactive aggressor, something like that. You got to determine and establish who's that person. And then you just got to remove them from the scene because they're like, we cannot have this happen again. We're going to be civilly liable. If there's a call, we can't just determine upon our own discretion, I think they're good, and leave because people end up dead. We have to find who do we think is the threat. We got to take them out of here. We have to. Per the law, no matter what the cop thinks. So when I started seeing what allegedly the daughter was saying, and I started to hear her say things like he's a danger to himself. He's been a danger to himself. He's been having mental health issues. The UFC is already aware of this. The UFC has already agreed that they want to and they will help him. And then I remembered that. I thought, I think I know what's going on here. I think he's dealing with some really messed up, heavy mental issues. He's feeling like he doesn't want to live anymore. Apparently he, in this particular evening, had a really, really, really bad day. And it's gotten to the point where he's become maybe more of a danger to himself than any other day leading up to this. And phone calls were made. And my thought was, I think maybe, because you know what? A good officer would do this. Because people get taken in all the time. And when they're getting booked, they put a bunch of different charges or whatever, and then they change. I'm sure you guys have seen this. They charge them with stuff, and then things change. Things get dropped. Things get added. So they basically do what they need to do to incarcerate them. And what I started to put together in my beanie was, if his lady knows he's having some major Tony Ferguson type problems, he's going through it, he needs help, he's being a danger to himself, I need him to get out of here, and he's not doing it of his own will. Because I was so confused when I saw that. I was like, domestic violence. And then his daughter saying it was a danger to herself. And I was like, how do you... And then it kind of made sense to me because it was like domestic violence. That's like the ultimate form of domestic violence. Like when you're doing violence on yourself, how could you get more domestic than that? So I thought that's perfect. At first, it actually sounds a little bit confusing and misleading, but that is the ultimate highest form of domestic violence. Like, how could you be more domestic than like your own temple? You know what I'm saying? And then when it was talking about false imprisonment, I was like, okay, so we're getting like all intellectual and introspective here. Like this dude is a prisoner of his own self. He's in prison he's confined to these walls right here. Like he can't even escape, Anthony Smith. And then what was the other one? Terror. He's a terror to himself. He's terrorizing himself. His thoughts are keeping him awake. So then I thought it has to be, because that seems kind of silly, because it makes sense to me. Like on a deep level, that makes sense to me. But like on a cop level, I'm like, they gotta have something more than this. And so then I thought the wife, whether she just thought quick on her feet and she just made the claim, I'm scared, he's threatening me, he's a danger, I'm afraid of my life, I think he's gonna hurt one of us, my kids, he's gonna kill us. She's like, they're gonna arrest him. And he's going to be safe unless they do him like Epstein and allow him to either they let him end his own self or they end his self, or they fake it and then Anthony Smith starts living in Bolivia. He puts a beard on and everything, but that one doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's that important. But either she took it upon herself to be like, this is how I could get him help and get him under supervision because he ain't going to go. I've been telling him to go for years. Or she was talking with the cops. I need him to get help. And he's like, well, you know what? Let me talk to you. We see people do this all the time. I binge these, cop networks channels where they try to talk to, like, I feel like a lot of us are exposed to stuff like this. We know people. We've heard things. Come on, let me tell you. I could take him in if this. Do you feel threatened? Do you think he might hurt you? Do you think he might hurt you? No, I didn't. Do you hear what I'm saying? No, but he would never. Do you hear what I'm saying? You think she's going to hurt the kids, right? Oh, yeah, I think he is going to hurt. So I was thinking, brilliant. I don't know if it was the wife or probably the cop that had a knowledge of the case law that if we get him on a domestic kind of thing, he's going to be safe in the facility. We're going to have a watch on him. We're going to put him in a padded room. Everything's going to be okay. He's going to sober up if he is intoxicated. So that was going to be my dude, everyone's coming after him like he's a monster. He's a villain. Maybe he's just depressed. He's a danger to himself, whether it's alcohol, whether it's CTE, whether it's a mixture of those things. It's alcohol with the CTE chaser. I don't know. But that's kind of where I was at. And I thought, this is not going to end up the way that we're thinking. I think we're jumping to conclusions. Because it's very interesting that no details came out about exactly who it was. One of the kids? Was it his wife? What was the reason? What were the injuries? Nothing. And then the daughter was saying, stop. He's a danger to himself. And it's like, what? Oh, they found that loophole. They manipulated the law so that they could get him safe and help. But then I Googled it right now when I was trying to look up the initial charges for you. And I saw an update. So let me read to you what I'm reading right now. There's two different articles here that give a little bit of different information. And I'm not going to read it word for word here. I won't waste your time with all of the fluff. But what I'm reading here is statement issued by the county district attorney's office said that Smith was involved in an altercation with his lady at a bar. So this started off at a bar. We have an interesting consistency here with the alcohol. Beer being a brawler and whatnot. But let's move on. All things are permissible, but, hashtag all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial and whatnot, but let's move on. So, he was involved in an altercation with his lady at a bar in Gretna, Nebraska, during which he reportedly threatened to kill her if she did not get into his vehicle and go home with him. Now, haven't we all said to someone, hey man, I'm going to kill you. Get off my chair. I'm going to kill you. Give me my controller. Don't drink my soda. I'm going to kill you. So, okay, not the worst. Not the worst I've ever heard. And hey, why are you not getting in the car with your spouse? What are you doing? Why are you being difficult? Let's go on. I don't mean to, believe all Anthony Smith's wives. The statement further alleged that Smith eventually forced his wife into the vehicle and then attempted multiple times to use the vehicle to strike her. That doesn't make any sense to me because he forced her into the vehicle. So how's he striking her with the vehicle? And this doesn't give all the... Now, I know I'm sounding like toxic masculinity here, but here's what I'm thinking. Why aren't we hearing about his wife? Was his wife drunk? Was his wife being belligerent? I mean, if I'm out in a strange place, like let's say I was the kind of person that would get inebriated. And let's say my lady was inebriated and we were out at a strange place and we got to go for some reason. And she's like, I don't want to get it. I'm going to be like, get your cheeks in the car. We got to go. This isn't the place for us to be. This and that is going down. It's hot. Cops are on the way. Look at what they're doing. This is not that we got kids. Get in the car. Get in the car. McDonald's is going to close. I want some chicken nuggets. Like people that have been married for like, you see, I feel like there's certain things that I'm going to say in this video that people are going to take the wrong way. Again, especially if somewhere down the road I have an incident, a lot of this is going to be used against me. But I feel like a lot of you here understand what I'm saying. Anyway, how does she get in the car and then he hits her with the car? This doesn't add up to me. Forced his wife into the vehicle, attempted multiple times to use the vehicle to strike her, unless this thing's out of order. Okay. I should have read on. I apologize. After she escaped during the drive. See, that's annoying. That's annoying. Imagine being in the car, just driving down Blackstone with your lady, and she jumps out the car. That's annoying. That's annoying. And I don't know if he was actually trying to hit her. I don't know if he was just trying to scare her. I think we could all agree that if we jumped out of the car when our lady was driving, she would try to hit us. I just wish there wasn't a double standard here. Smith's wife ultimately avoided any physical harm. Really? And I know people like to make jokes, but you're telling me this UFC dude, he was basically kind of technically the UFC light heavyweight world champion. Basically, he just said, nah, I don't want it. He basically won it from John Jones because of the illegal knee. He basically won it, and he just said, I don't want it. So we're talking about a UFC light heavyweight world champion that was doing domestic violence against his lady, and she came away unscathed. Ultimately avoided any physical harm. She just had her feelings hurt. And Smith turned himself into authorities without incident. So he went even better than Poirier went. And I don't know, maybe he knew better. Being a black man, maybe he thought, I ain't gonna mess around. Because there was that narrative when Poirier did it. Ooh, if he was a different... And I'm not trying to come at this like one of them... I know a lot of people get mad at like Kevin Kimura because he would say like a lot of like, you know, double standard racist things. I'm not trying to go in that direction. I'm just saying, you know, there's a narrative out there. So here's the second article. Domestic violence incident in which he attempted to run over his lady with a vehicle. Prosecutors allege that Smith tried to force his lady into their vehicle after he was kicked out of a concert at the Gretna Days Film Festival. Gretna Days Festival. Now, by the way, please remember this, ladies and gentlemen. People like to go after certain, you know, let me just say this. Poirier got kicked off a plane. And look how this dude was acting, right? Became a whole thing. Anthony Smith got kicked out of a concert. Look what happened here. Acting up. What happened with Khabib Nurmagomedov, peace be upon him, and Arman Tsarukyan got kicked off of airplanes? They're good. No issue. No issue. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Okay, yeah, maybe Khabib sold some Bitcoin. You know, everybody's fine. Everyone's okay. In my opinion, if you're buying Bitcoin, that's on you, homie. That's on you. Okay? I got an elevator pass to sell you. Okay? Anyway, prosecutors further alleged that Smith tried to strike his wife with the vehicle multiple times at their residence. So, I mean, it started wherever that festival was. He gets kicked out. Now it carries over at their residence, forcing her to jump out of the way. Witnesses helped Smith's lady and their children leave the premises. Some people will say that this is a matter of perspective. I'm not trying to be funny here. Listen, if you get upset with me for saying this because you think I'm trying to minimalize this and diminish this and downplay it and be silly and make light of something that's very serious, this is a you problem. This is you being, I don't know, culturally insensitive, being a cultural ignoramus. If the chancla fits, listen, from the minimal knowledge that we have of this situation, even now, even with all this, this is something that if a dude did in Uzbekistan, there's no news. There's no news. If somebody did this in Dagestan, if somebody did this in Chechnya, if somebody did this, name it. Just don't say Canada. Anywhere else, this is not news. Now, I'm not trying to be insensitive. I'm just saying that I have been around intoxicated couples. We see it all the time. Scroll Instagram for 2 minutes. Scroll TikTok. You will see video after, Twitter. Twitter's the main one. Scroll for 2 minutes and you're going to see intoxicated couples being intoxicated together, being stupid together, being morons together. I just went on to a tangent that I think could be misinterpreted as if I was saying that maybe like it was his lady's fault. And I didn't like where it was going. And honestly, when I play it back, I don't disagree with anything that I said, but I don't think it's helpful in this situation. I'll just say this. We've had two recent similar enough things happen in the MMA community with Poirier and now with Smith. And they both seem to be related to alcohol. Dude gets kicked off of a flight because he's drunk at an airport. Another dude gets kicked out of a concert at a bar. I don't think there's any way he wasn't drunk. I guess that's to be determined, but I feel like it's kind of the free spot on the bingo card, if you will. And I tend to believe that it's one of the worst drugs, I don't know, that's been made legal and accessible because of marketing over the years. It's wild how much death and destruction that it causes, even more so than some other illicit drugs that have been illegal forever. But it's beneficial. It's, maybe one of the main catalysts and helpers and supporters of population control. And I know a lot of you thinking, like, what about BJ Penn? When he's making those videos and acting crazy and stuff like that, he's not drunk. Maybe it's just CTE. Well, I think we all know by now that Hawaii is not a real place and that it was never meant to be a real place. It's basically a government psyop. It was never meant to be a real part of the country. And if you don't think that they are cloning people and swapping people, do your homework. I mean, of all places, where do you think they're going to do it? Do you think they're going to do it right in the center of the country? Or do you think they're going to do it off on some deserted island out of the public eye? There's a part of me that hopes that Anthony Smith was belligerent drunk. That hopes that his wife says this is atypical. This is not like him. And maybe charges are dropped. They fix things. He gets clean. He gets help. He buys Poirier's dad a house and is in a better place mentally. Doesn't have to worry about him anymore. I don't know. What a shame. What a shame if it just is what it looks like it is and it's just the worst case scenario and the dude goes to prison for like 50 years with very young children. Now, if he's a monster, if he really is a monster, then he should be behind bars. But it's such a shame when people consume things that temporarily turned them into a monster. They're basically living a Jekyll and Hyde situation because they couldn't just have a Pepsi instead. I know I'm being judgmental. I understand that. But I can't help but feel like my line of thinking would have kept them out of prison for 50 years. Just have a Pepsi, dude. Pepsi, if you're listening, I would love a sponsorship.